Two bodies lay on couches in the darkness. Colors periodically splash across them from the television set. It's difficult to distinguish them from corpses, their undying attention squarely focused on the screen in front of them. The images are staticky and distorted, but the bright colors appear cartoonish. A bunny hops around a log in a small meadow. His expression sporadic between sorrow and playful. The scenery is hard to make out from the static and fluorescence. A kangaroo hops aimlessly through the woods. It appears confused. Each flash of the images appears to toe the line, crossing between cheerful comedy and eerie confusion. The room mirrors the awkward clutter of the screen. Static permeates the air, and the two find it hard to breathe. They try to understand what they are viewing, but their minds are clouded and half asleep. 4 donkeys dance together on the screen, playing and frolicking in the woods. Occasionally a 5th appears, but it is unclear if this is meant to be there, or if it is a product of the unfocused image. The room seems to close in around them and becomes suffocating. But occasionally a cool breeze enters from the hallway and brings new life into their lungs. The discomfort of their positions outweighed by the need to satiate their understanding of the images on the screen. The two constantly riding the line between consciousness and sleep. A small cub wanders into the woods following a hawk. The screen becomes too distorted to make out, and the room grows darker. The scene reflects around the corner of the hallway through a mirror and into the eyes of a man standing in front of it. His gaze falls deep into the blurred visions on the screen.
Carla wanders hastily through the fog. The trees are bunched together so that she has to hold small branches back from her face as she moves through them. "I'm coming, Davin," she yells. The thick brush makes her claustrophobic and tightens her breath, but she presses on excitedly. The other 3 scurry about some larger bushes in the distance. "Come on, guys, we need to split up," Emma says laughingly as she pushes Davin away from her. "I can't leave you alone in these dark woods," he replies. "You didn't have any trouble leaving, Carla," said Lyle with a slight air of contempt. "Well, someone has to be the seeker. That's how the game works." Emma looked over at Lyle and grabbed his arm. "I think I hear her behind us. Let's hide over there," she squeakily whispered. and they ran into the woodland fog. They dug into the dark bushes and crawled around a bit to hide their limbs from view. They were no longer able to see each other in the dark, though they were vaguely able to make out each other's heavy breathing. Lyle lay quiet, listening for Carla's footsteps. But he was distracted by Emma's breath near him. He had been sure she liked him, but now Davin was hitting on her. He kept thinking about grabbing her hand and trying to make his move, but was scared. The leaves began to rustle about the ground in front of him. After a few moments, something tumbled over into the bush on top of them. Screams erupted, and a gang of shadows shot out from the brush. Lyle could feel someone on top of him, and he rolled over. "I got you, Davin," Carla said exasperatedly as she beat leaves from her clothes. "Nope, this is Lyle," he grunted as he climbed back to his feet. "I think I saw them run back towards the lake," he murmured as he gathered himself. "Oh, well, I guess we can head that way then," she said as her face fell a bit. "At least I'm not alone now. It's a little creepy out here." They walked silently for a bit. Then Carla perked back up and continued talking. "I'm glad we got out of the house tonight. Things have been so boring the last several days." "Yeah, it has been," Lyle murmured. "I hope we don't catch them doing anything," Carla joked, a little uncomfortably. "Yeah, I hope not," Lyle attempted to joke back. "You never know with Davin." "You think he likes her?" Carla asked a bit tentatively. "I don't know," Lyle replied. His head was getting fuzzy. He was having a bit of trouble thinking and seeing. Carla paused for a moment, uncomfortably. "Because I think Emma was more interested in seeing you," she lightly aired with a slight stammer. Lyle thought about what she said for a few moments. He supposed he was being a bit sulky. After all, he did think Emma liked him, and Carla seemed to really like Davin. If he stopped being so down, things would probably work out just fine. He reached into his pocket and pulled out another beer. Just then, Grace's voice shot out in the distance. They were not sure what she was saying, but they yelled back at her to grab her attention and took off walking towards her. "So, has Davin said anything about me?" She hopefully gasped, catching up to Lyle's pace. "Oh yeah. He wouldn't shut up about you on the way here," Lyle lied. He could see her face brighten up through the fog. But before anything else could be said, Grace appeared in front of them. She explained how Owen had ran off into the woods and that she needed their help to find him. So the three of them set off looking for Owen, spread out as far as they could get from one another while still seeing each other. stopped running when she reached the edge of the lake. She panted as she looked about for Carla. She was sure that she lost her. But where did Davin and Lyle run off to? She stared out over the lake. The fog reflected into the water, creating an endless, dark gray void. She felt perfectly content and carefree. The more she stared, the more she seemed to fall into it. She could feel her consciousness slowly slipping down through the emptiness. A hand grabbed her shoulder, startling her. It was Davin. "Huh, scared you, didn't I? You scared the shit out of me," she gasped as she punched his arm. "Come on, my beer is empty. We can follow the lake back to camp before Carla catches up to us," he said. They began walking along the bank, towards the camp. Davin easing his way closer to her as they went. "It's getting a bit chilly. You want my jacket?" he asked. The heat in Emma's face rose, but she refused the offer. "No, I'm fine. Thanks. I didn't think we wandered off too far. I'm surprised we can't already see the campfire." Emma felt conflicted. She was flattered by Davin's flirting, but she knew Carla really liked him. She had told her friend that she would hang out with Lyle, though she wasn't sure if Lyle liked her. Emma caught something out of the corner of her eye and jerked. "What did you see?" Davin asked. She stared intensely at an ugly bush with lots of sprigs and branches shooting out from it. "It was nothing. I just thought I saw antlers." "I'll go check it out," said Davin. She tried to insist it was nothing, but he had already took off, walking into the woods. Emma stood there, getting colder by the minute. A breeze pressed out from the woods, drawn to the water. The fog grew thicker. Why had he walked off like that? She wished she could get back to the campfire. The ease she had felt mere minutes ago dissipated. "Davin, hurry up," she shouted, with no reply. Tate continued to walk through the murky air. He could feel the thickness of it flood his lungs and taste the wet pine in the fog. The sky grew darker, and an ominous shadow slowly fell upon the forest. The sounds of the night were gradually being replaced by a deep hum in his ears. The weight of his seclusion was not lost on him as he pressed on through the brush, but it only heightened the fear for his brother and Grace. The more he thought about it, the greater his concerns rose. He wasn't sure where his brother was, but he felt he should keep moving away from the lake. Grace continued yelling for Owen. "Come on, Owen. You're scaring me. If you come out now, I promise you won't be in trouble." She began to pant. She looked over and could barely make out the silhouette of Lyle. It was getting darker. Her mind scrambled for ways to find him, but kept coming up blank. She was getting a headache. The air was wet and cold. She felt like she was drowning. Ka. Come on, Tate, I'm not kidding. Davin still hadn't come back yet. She was getting impatient and a bit nervous. She began walking slowly out to find him. If this was a prank, she was going to be pissed. She was ready to get back to the fire. It was getting darker, and she was worried they wouldn't be able to find their way back. She stopped and yelled out for Davin, then yelled for Carla. She was about to turn around and head back towards camp when she heard a noise. Davin walked out from the bushes quietly. "Damn it, Davin," she yelled. "What were you doing?" He had a blank look on his face. He walked up close to her and stopped. "Are you okay? Did you see something?" "No. It was nothing," he said dazedly as he stared past her.
The donkeys dance around in their blindfolds, tails in hand, trying to pin them on each other. They clumsily knock the poor kangaroo around. The image continues to skip, doubling the actors on the screen. The bunny floats around in a bright bubble circled by the hawk. The cub jumps around, swatting at it, but is unable to reach. The trees sprout legs and close in around them. The donkeys don't seem to notice as they continue to run into them and each other. One of the donkeys appears to be covered in the twigs and thorns so badly he begins to resemble one of them, the roughage being particularly prominent around his head. For some reason, he's managed to gather all the tails. The static becomes too distorted to make out. The disjointed laughter of the animals hisses through the halls of the house. The two viewers are unconscious.